This is part 3 of the Archiana podcast. This is our third. This is week 6 in the football season. Arkansas plays Alabama this weekend in Tuscaloosa at 6 o'clock on ESPN. You guys making the trip?
Yeah, we're leaving, mid-morning?
Yeah, probably around 11:30. We're fortunate enough to be able to fly over there and go watch the Razorbacks in Tuscaloosa. Last time I was in Tuscaloosa, it was 1991. I had a cousin, Carrie Donham. She graduated from Alabama. I went there just to celebrate her graduation, so that's the only time I went to Tuscaloosa. We played them here in Little Rock my senior year. Mike, did you ever play against Alabama?
No, we never played Alabama, and I've never been to Tuscaloosa. I've heard stories, all positive and very legendary about pregame and the traditions that they have, so I'm interested to see it.
The thing that's always interested me about Alabama and how they've been able to do it, you think about how Alabama has been such a powerhouse historical program back in the 20s when they really started cranking, going to the Rose Bowl and representing the South. But, I mean, Alabama is a pretty good-sized state, but it's not near the size of Georgia and certainly not like Texas. But how Alabama's been able to contend with Texas and those kind of teams over decades, and just have that sort of tradition they have. And then you have Auburn, which certainly is not Alabama in tradition, but they have their own great tradition and great football. You're talking about a state that I'm not sure. The last I saw, I don't think Alabama had much more than 5 million people. I don't want to be called on it here on the podcast, but to field the kind of football teams they did either back in the Bear Bryant era or even now with the 25 scholarship limit, but to find the kind of guys they do that go to the pros, they turn out quite a few. They turn out a lot of 5 stars in the state of Alabama. It's a talent-rich state. I remember that first game you were talking about over here at the stadium, right down the street. 92. We'd beaten South Carolina the week before. That was an SEC game.
Yeah.
We thought, hey, here we go. We lost to the Citadel, but we beat the heck out of South Carolina. We're ready for the SEC. And, man, did we get a rude awakening against Alabama right here. I hate to remind you.
No.
But I know that Jason Allen has probably some great stories as well when he went, I think it was sack right out of the bat, and punt to the 33, our 33, and then what's his name, Lassick, Eric Lassick runs 33 yards for a touchdown right off the bat. And
it's amazing that when you think back to 1992 and you look at the SEC now, there are a lot of similarities. When we made the jump from the Southwest Conference into the SEC, it was glaring on how we needed to really improve ourselves up front. Alabama up front that year, they had Antonio London, Eric Curry. They were loaded up front. Offensively, they had road graders.
John Copeland.
Yeah. They really were. They were just talented. Their secondary had 2 first-round draft picks and cornerbacks, and Tegan Langham, and so they were really, really good. Too. And now you look
Don't forget
Sam Shea.
Who were those 2 guys playing the 1 and 3 technique? They were both drafted.
Yeah, Copeland and Curry.
And Curry.
I remember seeing the first play. The guy jabbed to the left and just boom, got on the quarterback before he could get out of
Jason Allen was just buried in the turf.
Yeah, they were so fast off the line. I'll never forget, my dad asked me, he goes, that year Alabama won the national title and they played Miami. And my dad asked me, because we had played Miami the year before in 91 here in Little Rock and lost to them. Then we played Alabama. My dad asked me, he goes, well, who do you think is going to win? I think the line was 7. Miami was favored by 7. And I said, Alabama's going to kill them. They were so much bigger than Miami, but just as fast. And that's what this team is. You look at the recruiting for Arkansas, where Bielema has impressed us, has been the recruiting on the line. You take Ben Herbert and apply his philosophy in the weight room. We aren't going to get pushed around like Petrino got pushed around. And Petrino teams were constantly just destroyed by Alabama.
Yeah, but we're not fast. Like, our offensive line is going to be able to move, you're right. But on the other side, our defensive line held its own, did great against Tennessee, but we're not Alabama fast.
No, I think where we struggle is at the linebacker and secondary positions. That's where their recruiting will definitely make a difference because it's about fitting the gaps. You may hold the gap, but so if you go ahead and you occupy 4 gaps, 3 linebackers better get in the other gaps. And that's where we're going to struggle a little bit. Brooks Ellis will be able to do it. You got to wonder about Dre Greenlaw when he lines up and sees somebody that's just as big as our offensive line.
Well, it almost seems like he's not suited for this kind of game, even though I guess they're going to have to play him at linebacker. Yep. But and they don't have Williams anymore, and I don't know where Hackett stands at all. I mean, he was a starter in August, and we've barely even seen him, but I would think, Hackett, Josh Harris had such a great spring. We haven't seen him. I think some of it's been injury. He's a walk-on, but it seems like Dre Greenlaw is going to be odd man out in terms of size and dealing with what Alabama's going to throw at him defensively.
He just can't get eaten up by the offensive line, and his speed's going to come into play. I think with Josh Harris, this is not a game that you play at Josh Harris. Number one, Brooks Ellis is back at the Mike linebacker. We also have to look at Hackett. Hackett was playing Mike linebacker. They kept trying to develop him for that position, but he went ahead and he was at So when you have Hackett playing in the middle linebacker position through the spring, and then he gets moved back to his original position, which is Sam, which he's more comfortable at, I think we'll be okay. I think he adds a lot of athleticism. Once again, they're just going to have to use their speed at linebacker. Secondary is going to need to step up, and offensive line is going to need to keep doing their things, and the play calling is going to need to stay really strong. I am predicting an Alabama victory. I think it's going to be 21-14.
I think that we'll match up fairly well when it comes to our defense versus their offense. Being in the right alignment, executing the right assignment, and then the effort, we're there. I think the promise that I saw was with our front 4, how they could control the front line and very well disciplined with their gap sound approach. So I'm encouraged by our defense. If we can, maintain what we accomplished this past week, will be fine. On the offensive side, we're going to have to get creative on the play calls because Alabama has the ability to really punch our run game. And so we won't lose any physical advantage that we have on the front line, but they can scheme us, and we're going to have to get creative on those second to thirds and those second middle distance. I do think Alabama wins. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be we're not going to score at will, so it's going to be more of a 17-10 game.
I see this game being it could go back. I think if our defense reverts back to what we saw against Texas Tech and Texas A&M, I think with the run game plus the pass game, and Coker has really figured out how to be a quarterback. I mean, you think about this with Ole Miss and Alabama. Alabama turned the ball over 5 times and still scored 37 points. Still was within 6 at the end of the game. They lose 43-37. They put up 38 against Georgia. One of those is a block punt for a touchdown. But I think with Brandon Allen in the ball game at quarterback, you're more likely to have a pretty clean game offensively and not give them anything. Because Arkansas can't give Alabama a single thing. There is no way.
No.
Even to keep the game close, they cannot give up anything.
Can you make a field goal?
Yeah, and see,
Can
that's
we kick
another
a field goal over the front line?
Kick a field goal. Can we get the hold down? Can we get the snap down? Can the kicker get it high enough that it's not blocked at the line of scrimmage? I mean, that wasn't Dan Skipper that blocked that kick either. And then on the one he made, on the field goal that they made, Tennessee had a guy running right up the middle. But the field goal was, of course, angled out to the right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they got to shore up a lot of other things to keep this game probably from being ugly. I want to say it's going to be 24-14, and Arkansas is going to fight, but just not having it. If they're able to run the football against this front of Alabama, I will be amazed.
Yeah. One thing I want to add is the good news is our defense has seen this offense before because they go up against it every day. Texas Tech and Texas A&M, that's spread offenses, and I think it'll be schematically a welcomed challenge to take on Alabama because you go, We know how to play this. We play this all spring long in the first part of the summer. And I think that's going to play in our favor. It's one reason why we were able to hold them to what we were able to a year ago.
Yeah, I think the comfort will be there. If we can have a well-executed game, clean game, and we're able to incorporate some creativity on offense, I think we're going to hang with them. I think we're going to make it a close game.
And I just want to remind everybody, like I did the other day, and it's not bragging if it's fact, right, that we all picked Arkansas to win that game.
That's exactly right.
We did.
Because the Hogs are on your chest,
Yeah.
or the
Yes,
shirt
indeed.
you're wearing today. You
Got
picked it because that's how you saw it, and I did too. I mean, I didn't pick it. I thought Arkansas would win the game. It ended up the result like I
pray I'm
expected.
wrong, Jim. I pray I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I have faith in
This
in
week,
this staff. I have faith in this group of kids. I think they're going to get better every week. The reality of Alabama is the only thing that I'm picking this week.
Well, I got to hope and pray as well that the injuries kind of abate, all the breaks, all the broken bones. Before we wrap this thing up, any thoughts of, why there's this many broken bones out there?
I just think it's a chance. It's nothing.
We see it at Catholic High this year. We've lost 6 of our starters to really serious injury. It's kind of hard to believe that this would happen. We've seen it with other high schools as well.
My son at Pulaski Academy, same thing. He broke his trapezium, which is one of the bones in your hand, and right below your thumb. And then one of his buddies just had surgery because he broke his wrist. I mean, it's like it's happening all over the place. We're fragile these days, aren't we?
Well, I would suggest everybody play golf, but then Tiger Woods had another back surgery, so another micro fracture back surgery. So apparently nothing we do today.
But it goes back to my argument: we're doing too much as kids. The repetitive motion injuries are taking its toll, and people are getting injured maybe a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I do remember, at least in my growing up era, when football season was football season. It wasn't fall baseball. And basketball season was basketball season. You weren't playing basketball during baseball season. And you weren't starting baseball season in basketball season or playing it all year long. So I think, again, I don't think this is far off the topic, talking with you guys about what's going on out there. Now football is almost year-round for some of these kids.
Yeah, but, in high school, you got to keep up with the reps. If your team is getting fewer reps than the other team's going to have an advantage. And so in summer, Rick and we've attended plenty of what they call team camp, which is essentially shells. I mean, you've got your shoulder pads, helmets on, and you're making contact not to the ground, but it's full speed plays against another team. So there's competition year-round in football.
Well, good, safe trip for you guys this weekend to Alabama. Hogs, safe trip over there. Come back healthy. All of you. Don't come back with headaches on Monday morning. I know what you guys do on the road, but I want you to be sharp and ready to go at 8:30 next Monday morning.
Hey, you run with the wolves, right? That's the key in the morning. But if you bark at the moon, isn't that the saying?
Yeah.
We'll bark at the moon, but we'll run with the wolves in the morning.
Yeah, we'll keep our face up, therefore we'll avoid concussion.
There you go. All right, so we want headstrong, heart, whatever the thing is on Friday night flights. Come back at Friday night fight. What is it? Friday night lights.
Friday Night Lights.
Sorry, guys.
Yes.
I was getting silly out here. The coffee's starting to hit home. You've been listening to the Arkiana podcast with Rick David, Mike Shepard, and I'm Jim Harris, your host. Thank you for listening to this. Hope you'll join us each week. And do come by and say hello. Monday mornings, we're here at Starbucks right off of Markham Street, right down from War Memorial Stadium. The scenery is good, trust me. Come back next week. See you. Bye.